In terms of what got me involved in politics and obviously led me to Wavertree, I've been a trade union member since the age of 16. And, you know, it's a highly politicised environment. I'd been a trade union rep for 20 plus years. I'd been branch secretary of a local government branch for 11 years, regional convener for Unison North West for 5 years. So I was used to that political environment and climate. And of course, everything within our society has a political context. You know, I've got 2 young boys, 2 teenage boys, and I say to them, everything is political, and they say, no mum, it's not, and I say, but it is. And you know, they come back with things like, well, football's not political, and I said, if you look at how much footballers get paid as compared to, you know, the people who stand on the terraces, then of course it's political. And you know, the corporate hospitality are making sure that, you know, fans can't get access to those games and stuff like that, so that's political. In terms of what led me to Wavertree, I was born in Wavertree. So, you know, it's a constituency that's really dear to my heart. I've got family and friends in the constituency. So it really was just like coming home. It was absolutely fantastic.
What got me involved in politics kind of stems back to when I was a teenager. I became very active as a community activist and went on demonstrations. It was during the time of Maggie Thatcher. It was the 1980s. There was lots of anti-racism demonstrations, and then from there I became employed as a community development worker. I trained, got qualified and worked as a community development worker. So I worked in a lot of deprived communities within Liverpool and Merseyside. And from there I got involved in trade union movement. I'd always been a trade unionist, but I became active in the trade union movement when I was employed by Liverpool City Council, so became a workplace rep, and then from there I became active in regional structures and then national structures, which then kind of led me to becoming a member of the Labour Party, and I joined in 2013, but I wasn't really active. And I became more active 2 years ago in my constituency Labour Party, Riverside. I was elected as the Black Members Officer, and as a result of that I became involved in the various structures of the Labour Party, you know, and I wasn't very aware at that time. But I originally got involved in politics then because I was very concerned about the underrepresentation of black people in politics. And so what I intended to do as the Black Members Officer was to encourage greater levels of representation. So I established a Black Members Forum. Well, to say it was a very scary experience would be a major understatement, you know, because a lot of people will tell you that Westminster is like Hogwarts, and it is, you know, stairs, corridors, everything looked the same. So I arrived in Westminster on the 16th of December, a couple of days after the election, with a couple of my very good friends, Paula Barker, Mickey Whitley from Birkenhead. We travelled down to London together on the train, and we went through our induction period together, which was very surreal because on the Monday morning, you know, you get shunted into various offices, you get your badge, you then get allocated IT equipment, you go to see somebody else to sign up for your salary and your expenses, and then you're given a buddy and they take you around various places. So that first week was very scary. You know, we were on a very steep learning curve, and you know, to say that we had information overload again would be a major understatement.
When you're a local councillor, you are very close to the people you represent all the time. You know, you walk around your ward most days and people will stop you and talk about things, and that's quite good really as a politician. You feel quite connected and close to people. When I became deputy leader of my Labour group at the time, I did get quite a lot of support actually. You know, it wasn't always easy. People occasionally said stupid things to me that were a bit inappropriate, but it was okay. When I became a Member of Parliament, you then have to go to Westminster every week, and that's a challenge again. The culture of Westminster is actually often more traditional, you know, more backward looking than in a lot of local councils. Local councils, you know, particularly if the politicians there are determined to make the culture change, they can do so, whereas things just seem to take a lot longer to change in Westminster, and you end up, you know, surrounded by a lot of people who don't want things to change actually. So that's, I would say, being a member of Parliament has been harder in many ways, and also you're under a lot of public scrutiny, so as a woman that can have its challenges.
Incredibly daunting, really. It was really nice to travel down with fellow colleagues and friends. So I was with Kim Johnson, and Kim Johnson and I share a parliamentary office now, which is great. But you know, the system is not designed for people like me. You know, a girl from a working class background to actually enter politics and, you know, sit on those green benches and represent a constituency. There's lots of different barriers and obstacles to overcome. But, you know, as a woman, and a woman with an opinion, I'm a tenacious woman, and, you know, I have every right to sit on those green benches along with everybody else who's there. So, you know, although it's daunting, you have to just sort of pinch yourself every so often and say, well, do you know what? You have every right to be there representing the constituents, and, you know, making sure that their views are heard in Parliament.
Well, Tracy Brabin's dress, I think, was a particular incident that just shows some of the Westminster nonsense about women politicians. There isn't a dress code for women in the House of Commons, and actually the dress code for men has changed quite a bit too, so men don't have to wear a tie these days. Tracy Brabin went to lead a debate. I think it was actually an urgent question, so something that had come up at the last minute. And she had a dress on that I personally thought was lovely. It had like an off-the-shoulder look, and she got a load of grief off people commenting publicly saying that she looked like she was going to a disco or something. And this just shows that women will face a much higher level of scrutiny, and actually I would say as a woman, when it comes to what you look like and what you wear, you actually unfortunately can never win, because even if you make loads of effort and look really formal and traditional, then you get called stuffy and a bit of a school marm. And if you know, go for a bit of glamour and, you know, look a bit more fashionable and trendy, then you'll get belittled by saying you look like you go to a disco. So actually either way you can't win, and what I've learned is that you just have to basically say stuff it and wear what you like, wear what you want to wear and what you like, and let other people get on with what they feel about it. And the most brilliant thing about Tracy's dress is that actually she auctioned it online and raised 20 grand for the Girl Guide Foundation. So if that isn't making lemonade out of lemons, I don't know what it is, and hats off to Tracy for being brilliant about it.
Well, what I would say to young women about getting involved in politics is just do it. You know, start now by becoming active in local campaigns, whether it be in your school, in your community, join the Labour Party, or I'm saying the Labour Party because I am a Labour Party MP, and get involved in the trade union movement if you're working. But I would always say, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do anything, because people say, I'm not interested in politics, but what I will always say to everybody is that politics informs everything in your life. So yeah, get involved.
So the one message I would give to young women who want to be involved in politics, I think there's three things really. I think the first thing is to always be bold and always be fearless. Your opinions matter just as much as anyone else. So you really do have to make sure that you're heard. The second thing is be kind, because we live in a really, really unkind society. You know, if you see the increase of mental health issues, you see the increase of usage of social media, and sometimes it's really, really not a nice place to be. And there's lots of people who are keyboard warriors who think that they can do and say whatever they want, and that goes unquestioned because they're on the likes of Twitter or some other social media platform. So always be kind, and particularly with women, because in my career, and you know, I started out in local government, sadly I saw women who kept other women down, and that does happen. And then I had an experience of having a really, really good manager who was a woman, and she inspired me. She provided me with the tools that lifted me up, and I'll never forget that. So always be a good sister. Always make sure that you help another woman up. Don't ever pull that ladder up. Leave it down for the next woman to come along. And then the third and final thing I would say is make sure that you join a trade union, because it really, really will change your life. Whether it's your working conditions at work, or whether you choose to do one of the best things, in my opinion, to be a voice in the workplace, to represent your colleagues when they're in struggle. The trade union movement gives us so much. It enriches everyone's lives as far as I'm concerned. So they would be my 3 messages to young women today.
I would say just do it, because if you feel like you really want to be involved in politics, the best way is to just get in there, because you really learn by doing, whether it's standing for election. You know, you can't read about how to stand for an election in a book. You've just got to get on and do it. And you can take advice from people, and there will be people who want to help and support you, as well as people who will occasionally criticise. But you have to be, to a certain extent, you have to be bloody minded and just believe in yourself, get on with it and just do it. And that is the best way to succeed.